Every day means every day. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the mentality that all of the world's most elite high performers have in common, okay? And this is something I'm qualified to speak on because, quite frankly, this is what I do. I'm a motivational speaker and a peak performance coach, and I've worked with clients like 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs, Olympic athletes, Grammy and Emmy award-winning artists, and more. So I know a couple things about peak performance, not necessarily from myself. I'm not some super special, glorified, anointed person that just is filled with talent. It's nothing like that. But I've been blessed to be around so many of these elite high achievers that I've picked up a couple of similarities from the way that these individuals think. Now, I will say, if you have not checked out yesterday's video about the topic of winning and how winning is actually the lowest possible standard, you need to be judging yourself not based on where you rank compared to other people, but based on where you rank compared to your potential and your true capacity. And you got to be careful what you celebrate, because what you celebrate, you're going to replicate, and all these different concepts. If you haven't seen that video yet, please go check out yesterday's video. I'll probably drop a link somewhere in the description here. But today, what I want to do is build upon that ideology a little bit in terms of understanding the mentality of celebrating your wins, when to do it and when not to do it. And this is a lesson that I first learned from one of my teammates back at the University of Michigan. Now, ironically, we actually didn't get along that well when we were in college. We get along great these days, but something about our personalities, we just clashed a little bit. And so I think it almost made it more impactful when I learned this principle from him specifically, because it hit me so hard that I just had to step back and say, yo, I don't even necessarily want to be learning this from you right now, but I have to respect it because I can see how it separates you from other individuals on this team, and I understand how you are better under pressure because of it. I understand how you are at, quite frankly, a higher level than a lot of these other guys because of it. And so it just made such an impact on me that I wanted to share it with you today in this video. Now, this is how this came about. He was doing a routine on parallel bars just in practice. This was not a competition. This was not at a big meet. This was during practice. And at this time, I actually wasn't competing anymore. I was coaching and judging. And I was the guy, part of the coaching staff, that would judge the routines that people would do in the gym. Now, this is a practice that's very common at a high level of sports, especially in gymnastics. You don't want to be judged for the first time in a competition and then find out what your deductions are. You want an expert who knows the code of points, who knows all the deductions, to watch you do your routines in practice so that you know what to work on and what to fix. So I'm sitting here judging this guy as he does his parallel bar routine from start to finish. And it was a phenomenal routine. It was great. Very little deduction all the way through. And at the end, he absolutely nails his dismount. Stuck it cold. Now, if you're not that familiar with the sport of gymnastics, when you stick a dismount, it means that you land and you don't move. You don't take a step, you don't take a hop, you just land it cold, no movement. That's the gold standard in gymnastics. You get bonus points for sticking your landing. It obviously avoids the deductions that you would have incurred for the step or the hop. And quite frankly, it's just a dynamic, exciting thing to watch. I mean, it moves the energy in the room. It hypes up your team. Everybody gets energized when you stick a dismount. It's a big deal in our sport. So he goes through this whole routine, almost flawless routine the whole way through, nails the dismount, and then he turns to me because I was judging, salutes, and kind of nods and walks off and awaits his score. One of our other teammates comes running across and was like, dude, why are you not hyped up about this? What, is there no emotion here? Are you not happy? Are you not excited about the fact that you just killed that routine? And he said something I will never forget. He looked at the guy and he said, that's what's supposed to happen. That's the way it's supposed to be. And I immediately took a step back and said, that is exactly why he's where he's at, and the kid who asked him that question is where he's at. Because the guy that I'm talking about was at a more elite level, especially on that event, than the other guy who was talking to him. Why? Because in his mind, although that might have been something special for you, although that level of perfection might be something abnormal for you, although that level of excellence might be unique for you, that's the standard for him. That's just the way it's supposed to happen. It's not special in his eyes. Therefore, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. And what I've learned about peak performance is that most people artificially increase the amount of psychological distance between where they are and where they want to be. You think that becoming a national champion, if you're an athlete, you think that that's this far away, lofty goal. You make a big deal out of it. Therefore, it feels like there's all this work to do. It feels like there's all this pressure on you. It feels like this is this major difficult goal. What my guy was saying was, that's the expectation. This is the minimum standard. This is the bare minimum. I'm not going to get all hyped because of this, because this is what I expect. Now, if I do something that I deem to be spectacular or extraordinary, then of course I'm going to be excited about it. But what you just witnessed is my standard. That's just what I hold myself to. This is just the minimum. This is what I expect of myself. And most people's standards and expectations are too low. So then when they finally do something good, or they finally do something at an elite level, it in their own mind, they justify it as something that only happens every once in a while. My whole brand is literally about every day means every day. Reach your potential daily, not occasionally. When you make a big deal out of a win, out of doing something well, out of a victory, when you make a big deal out of it, what you're telling your brain, what you're telling your spirit, what you're telling your own psychology is that this is a unique experience. This is not something that happens all the time. So I'm going to make a big deal out of it, and you're reinforcing the idea that this doesn't happen all the time. When you say, you know what? That's the standard. That's just who I am and what I do. You reinforce the identity that this is something that's regular and normal. I always tell people, whenever I meet celebrities, I never take pictures with them. The only time I take pictures with celebrities is after I've known them for years, and usually they're the ones that say, hey, let's grab a pic, right? The reason I do that is because I'm not going to act like a fan if I want to be a peer. It doesn't make sense. I'm not going to train myself, oh my God, this person, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in your presence. No. We're going to be friends. You don't know it yet. But we're going to speak on the same stages together. We're going to be a part of the same businesses together. We're going to be doing this together. We're going to be seeing each other all the time. We're going to fly private on the same planes together. We're going to we're going to show up to the same car meets together. We're going to do all the same stuff. You don't understand yet, but I know where I'm going in life, and therefore I'm not going to act like this is a big deal or something abnormal or irregular. This is normal. That's the type of psychology you have to have if you want to be an elite performer. So again, winning is the lowest possible standard. Excellence, even, in some ways, should not be the standard. It should be a part of the standard. Obviously, you should strive for excellence in everything that you do, but you got to get to a point where, like my teammate was, that's just who I am and what I do. This is normal. This is not special. This is just what we do. And when that becomes a part of your identity, when you begin to align yourself, define yourself, identify yourself with that level of excellence, it's tough to compete with you. It's tough. That's when you get those guys where it's just like, yep, they got ice in their veins because they expect this, they're accustomed to this, and this is what they identify themselves with. That's tough to compete with. So remember, every day means every day. Hold yourself accountable to some standards. I'll see you on the next video.